Yo, what's up, world? I'm back. Well, I'm back again, like I never left. But welcome to another episode of For Your Ambition. And today, I got my brother, Bryce, with me. Bryce, what's good, brother?
Hey, how you doing, Daryl? How you doing today?
I'm good, man. So, for those that are watching, have you ever been in a slump? Have you ever been unmotivated? Have you ever been feeling like you just don't have the energy to do anything? Well, we've been there. So today we're going to talk about how to break out of a slump. So we want to start by what actually is a slump. The definition of a slump is to fall or to be out of sync in something suddenly. Sometimes it's just out of the blue. You don't feel motivated by doing anything. You're just out of energy. You don't have any aspirations at that moment. You can't get out of the rut that you're in. There's no explanation half the time. It's just there. So we're just going to talk about how can we get past those ruts. So we want to start by asking you, Bryce, what is your definition of a slump?
And Daryl, my definition of a slump is when you put too much pressure on yourself, you compare yourself to other people, you're not pacing yourself, and it's like you're trying to overdo things. And when you're not meeting the goals that you have put out, you have a tendency to slip back. You might end up taking a day break, and that break might fall into a week. Then 2 weeks before you know it, you a month in and you in that rabbit hole and you just trying to realize like, dang, how did I get here? So like, I feel like with you coming up with this segment, this is going to help other people figure out how to get out of the slump before it gets too deep into that rabbit hole.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like when you get in that rabbit hole, man, you really don't know what's the first step to take to get out. So hopefully we can give them some keys on how to get out. So first I want to start off by talking about the first step I would say to use is to think of a small task, find something small to do and complete that, whether it be writing down a goal of yours for the day and acting on that goal, or even if it's getting up and sweeping the floor or something small, start off small and take it day by day. When you set small goals for yourself, it kind of pulls you out of that mode, so to say. It gives you a sense of accomplishment, because sometimes when we do run into ruts and when we get into slumps, it's like no matter what small task the small task that we get, we just don't feel like it's accomplished anything. But start off one step at a time, one small thing at a time.
That's a good point. And I'll even add on to that. I would say acknowledge that you're in a slump. What they're saying, the first part of recovery is acknowledging that you have an issue, and when you're able to identify that you're in a slump, it's more easier for you to work yourself out of a slump other than just being in denial or just like, ignoring it, that you're in a slump, So I would say acknowledge that you're in a slump, as well as finding different tasks to, do to get your mind, back focused.
Right. And so another key I would say is to find the inspiration for what you're trying to accomplish. What motivates you? What is something that you're aspiring to do? What feeds your ambition? No pun intended. But find your niche. What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself? So when you find and tap into that inspiration, it pulls you a step closer to being out of that slump.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point, man. That's a good point. I'll even like add on to that as well. Like surround yourself around like-minded people, you know, that's going to
Yes, sir.
keep
Yes,
you
sir.
and hold you accountable. When they hold you accountable, they're going to be able to let you know, like, hey, man, your energy is low. You know, let's get it back together. Because you got to think about it, Daryl. Like this thing is like, it's like team. Like we played sports as a kid. We played basketball. We played football. And at the time, we didn't understand the psychological side of it. But when you think about it as an adult, your wife is is your teammate. You know, your friends is your teammate. Your mom, your dad, your grandparents are teammates. And we all are supposed to be there to uplift each other whenever we see somebody is falling off, you know. So I'll say that too. We got to hold each other accountable for our actions.
Yeah, finding an accountability partner is another way to do it. You know, they say iron sharpens iron. Like-minded individuals feed into each other. When you find a group of individuals, or even if it's just like a best friend or a coworker or somebody like that that's on the same page that you are, for them to be able to call you on some things and to be able to help push you and motivate you to the next step, that goes a long way. Because me personally, you know, when I have a group around me, I'm at my best. You know, I can do a lot of things on my own, but when I'm surrounded around a team of people and people that have known me for years know that once I'm around a group that's on the same page I'm on, man, I'm a monster. So yeah, I totally agree with that statement, man. Find like-minded individuals that have the same goals and the same aspirations as you have, and when you hit those slumps, you'll be able to reach out to them and be like, hey, man, I'm going through this. They could probably navigate and help you move towards finding a resolution to that because they've been through a similar situation.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of my old jiu-jitsu coaches, he told me this. He say, you want to go somewhere fast, go alone. You want to go somewhere far, bring a team with you. Okay. And when he said that, I was like, whoa. I was like, that's powerful. You know, so like you say, you got to make sure you have a strong team and everybody have the same, you know, values and morals to keep each other, you know, pushing.
Yeah. So I will say this: do not, and I repeat, do not throw yourself a pity party. So to say, don't become so entrenched in your sorrow of not accomplishing anything or being in a slump that you soak and you sit into it. It's a detriment to yourself and it's not helping you move forward. So I would say don't get too entrenched in or too deep down that rabbit hole of being in that slump that where you're not going to be able to dig yourself out. And no matter what anybody tells you, it'll consume you if you let it. Find ways to get out of it. Find ways to change your thinking. Let me stop trying to find the right words to say for it. Just change your thought process. When you want success, you have to eat, sleep, and breathe it, to be honest. You have to become consumed with it. Even if it's reading about success. Some people, and there's studies on this, I'm sure of, that I've seen before, is that when you want to learn something, play it in your sleep. Let that audio run. So if you're reading success, if you're eat, sleep, and breathe success, changing your mindset towards success, it manifestation is big.
Yes, it is. That's true. That's true. And I'm going back to what you said about not like beating up on yourself. That's the worst thing that you can do is beat up on yourself. Because it's like when you beat up on yourself, Satan, he's gonna beat up on you even more. And before you know it, you feel like it.
Oh man, I lost it.
But yeah, so just not beating up on yourself, like being your best friend and not your worst critic. You know, that's the worst thing that you can do is beat up on yourself because, like I said, you got to give yourself some type of grace because at the end of the day, you're human. You know, you're not a robot. You know, so you're gonna have emotions. You're gonna have different types of feelings that's going on in your life. And I would just say, just know why you're doing what you're doing it for, and just keep on striving and pushing, and everything is gonna, shake up.
Yeah, most definitely. And so another key that I would say to use is to actually thank your adversity. And this is why I say this. Had you not gone through this, you wouldn't know how to face it if it was to ever come around again or a bigger obstacle would step into your way. So, you know how people say blessings come in disguise? The best comes out of the worst. You got to know how to fail to know how to succeed. So I would say when adversity comes your way, thank it because you're going to learn a lesson on how to get out of that and how to move forward from that adversity or that slump that you're in. So when you see it coming or you see an obstacle coming your way, you be like, oh, I know how to dodge that one. So, you start doing this here on out the way, Yeah. So you got it after that. So thank it from that point.
No, facts. Instead of you saying, why is this happening to me? Say, I'm happy that this is happening to me. Because it's like you gotta have adversity. You gotta have the trials and tribulations that's being thrown at you because that's how you sharpen your defense. If nothing is always easy and always coming to you easy, man, that's you really becoming weaker. You know what I'm saying? I heard Mike Tyson, he said, adversity makes the strong stronger, and he said it makes the weak weaker. So you got to be up for the challenges. You got to be willing to go through that fire because, that able to pass that test, God is prepping you for the next test that's going to come. Look at David. Before he fought Goliath, he had to fight a bear, to fight a lion, and God was prepping him for that big giant. You know what I'm saying? So don't shy away from the adversity. Run towards it.
Yeah, most definitely. I would say for me, what helps me when I get into ruts and when I get into slumps, man, I write down how I'm feeling. I put it to paper. I put it in the air, so to say. I write it down. I look at it. I get it off my chest. Especially sometimes being introverted, you don't want to talk about stuff. So I write it down and I kind of give it its own space to breathe. And then after that, I'm like, okay, I done got it off my chest. What's the next move? I'm ready to figure a way around it. Well, speaking of being introverted, do you feel like when we're in slumps, keeping that slump to ourselves is a detriment to ourselves in some cases?
Yes, it can. Yes and no, because like sometimes being an introvert, you keep it so much in, you suppressing how you really feel, and where like something little can tick you off and you blow up. So when I say yes, it's detriment, but then no, it's like sometimes we're problem solving with ourselves. You think about it, like 9 times out of 10, we're always having these conversations with ourselves, like, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? And we're asked these questions to ourselves first before we ask somebody else. Can you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, most definitely.
So like my papa, he always tell me, if you never question yourself, then you will never do anything for yourself. And for the longest, I'm like, man, papa, what are you talking about? But it's true. Right. You have to question yourself. And then when you question yourself, you're like, okay. And then you can go to somebody who you trust and ask them like, hey, what do you think of this? So I had already been talking to myself. I want to make sure that I'm not tripping or, you know what I'm saying? Just getting confirmation on how you feel. And it goes back to that accountability partner. You want to be able to have somebody that's going to tell you when you're wrong, tell you when you're right. They're not going to be no yes man. Because, you know, we all know what yes man is. You know, they suckers. They not for you. They're against you, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean,
so just to answer your question, though.
Yeah. In most cases, I was going to say, in most cases, when you got a yes man in your corner, it becomes a problem for you and for them. You know, because you're going to be looking for them for the answer, and they just telling you yes, so that way they can continue to benefit from the ride. But if there's no ride going on, then the yes is hollow. There's no reason for it to even be there. So, yeah, you just got to have you got to know about yourself and know your tolerance level. So that's another point I want to say. When you face slumps and when you face adversity like that, you got to know what you're capable of, what you're made of, how much can you take. Some of us don't handle adversity well. Some of us don't know how to express ourselves, or we don't know where to go. So I'm a segue into this. Do you feel like in some cases when you're so down on yourself that going to talk to someone is beneficial, or do you feel like the therapy route is not the traditional or the route that we should go?
Man, therapy is the way. I have a therapist myself, and since I started going to therapy, it's been a game changer. You know, it's just sometimes it's good to go talk to strangers. It's good to go talk to people who are professionals in that area, because they're not going to judge you, you know, and they're going to let you vent and get everything off your chest that you was too afraid to tell, you know, your mom or your dad or your close friends, you know. So I would say we need more people to be willing to go get help. You know, sometimes you just never know the benefits of going to therapy, how it's going to make you feel. There's been times where I go to therapy and I leave out of there feeling like the weight of the world is off my shoulders. You know, just because it's just like you you feel better now. It's like
release.
It's a release. It's like an inventory. You literally just did an inventory on your life. Once you do that inventory in your life, you're like, okay, I need to put more focus in this area. I probably need to set back a little bit from this too much because this is consuming me, you know, and it's just about balance, bro. I'm really understanding, since I've been going to therapy, balance is the key. You know, if you like this and you like this, you're going to be off. But, you know, it's all about being even keel. And, you know,
right.
That's just through life. You know, you got to be even keel. That's the only way you're going to be successful in life, is you're not too high, you're not too low. You know, so therapy, man, it really give you that mindset to help you keep striving. You know, not saying become dependent on the therapist, but they give you tools to work, you know, because you know you're not gonna always have them, you know, so you got to be able to handle situations on your own and just use the tools that your therapist has given you.
Right. And I totally agree with that. Sometimes when in those sessions, man, they'll be able to give you tools to be able to move forward. They'll address some things that you never knew that was going on with you. So talking to somebody about because sometimes we could be just living day to day and not even know exactly what's going on with us. And we're just man,
being zombies.
Yeah, we get in the routine of living that 9 to 5, or, you know, working that 12-hour shift and not knowing that we're depressed or we're upset or we're angry, and we just don't know why. And that can also put you in a slump, because it's like some people get into jobs and feel like there's no way out. There's no way to move lateral, or there's no way to go up. And it's just like, I'm destined to be a worker for the rest of my life, or I'm stuck here until I'm 50, 60 years old. And that can put you into a slump. So you have no no thrive or not thrive, no drive to move out of that space. It's like, whatever. I'm gonna be here. It is what it is, and that's a detriment to yourself because as a person, for one, you matter. Two, you are capable of a lot more than you give yourself credit. You never want to settle for anything that you feel that you can do better at. Don't cut yourself short. You have to believe in your own self before anybody else would. So if you feel like you're better at something or you have the room to grow and to grow beyond a certain 9 to 5 or a certain job title or anywhere that you're at in life, go for it. I mean, the time is now. If the last 2 years haven't taught you anything other than you can do things for yourself and that you can grow past things, it should have taught you that. Like, people are moving into spaces nowadays to where you can do your own thing. You can strive for more. There's more things in life to be obtained, and you can get there. You just got to believe it.
True, and having discipline too, bro. Like, you got to have discipline if you want to.
Yes, sir.
If you want to go into whatever space you want to go into, you got to have discipline. I heard a guy say, if you don't have discipline, then you don't have freedom. And that makes a lot of sense. You got to have discipline in order to have freedom. Okay. So if you want to acquire so many things, like, it's just like, you say, if you got a candy issue, you got problems with eating candy, you got to work towards, getting to the point where you can get to that candy store and walk in there and not grab that Snickers. That's having discipline. Not saying jump into it right away, but setting them good habits. Start going on a 21-day fast from candy. To start trying to find other ways to distract yourself from whatever your challenges is. And that just that helps you build that stamina. That start helping you build that mental strength to be able to keep on pushing and striving to whatever you're trying to do. So I encourage people to build them daily habits. Take it one day at a time, and just keep on pushing and striving, and just, things going, go in your favor if you have discipline.
Yes, sir. That's it. So now we're gonna get to a point where I'm gonna put my brother on the spot here, and I'm gonna go into what I'm gonna call the slaughter session. So the slaughter session is going to be 4 keys to getting out of a slump, and I'm gonna turn it over to my bro. So, bro, drop something for him.
Okay. Well, my 4 keys. Number 1, like we said earlier, acknowledge that you're in a funk. Like, when you acknowledge it, you asking yourself, like, okay, how did I get to this point? What can I do to get out of this point? When you're able to acknowledge it, you're able to work yourself out of it, and that's the key right there. The next step, I will say, is surrounding yourself around positive people, surround yourself around people who's going to keep you focused, who's going to hold you accountable, that's going to help you not put so much pressure on yourself, because we all have a tendency of putting so much pressure on ourselves. And like I said, we don't give ourselves grace, so you want to make sure you have people that's going to be solid, that's going to hold you accountable for everything you say and that you do. The next one I would say is give yourself grace and, start building daily habits that's going to help you get closer to your goals and get closer to your dreams. When you forgive yourself, you're able to keep on pushing. But like we said earlier, it's like you cannot be your own worst enemy. You can't be your worst critic. You got to have like a cornerback's mindset where if a wide receiver burn you, you got to be able to forget that play and move on to live to the next play. And that's going to help you keep on pushing. And I would say the last one is, acknowledge and let God lead your way. Let God put you in a position to the work these things out. Stop trying to work them out on your own and give it over to God. He said he got you. He said he'd never leave you nor forsake you. So trust in that. And that's going to help you overcome your slump. Stop trying to do things on your own. You're going to have a greater force to help you overcome the challenges that you're facing. So I would say them are my steps. It helped me out because I just recently got out of a slump and I had to go back to the drawing board and tell myself, how do I get out of this? And like I said, most importantly, you got to get out of the negative, watching the news, getting off of social media, comparing yourself to other people. You gotta be thankful for what you have, because if you're not thankful for what you have, what make you think God you with what you really want, So I would just say that in that process, just keep staying focused and everything is gonna fall in order.
Cool. Appreciate that, bro. So I just got out of a slump myself. And so that's why I felt like this episode was key. And so one thing that I did is I was in a slump about this show in particular. I didn't know. I kept making excuses on why I shouldn't record the show. But I came up with research and with all these different avenues that we've talked about, I've pulled myself out of it. So I would talk to my wife. I would talk to you about different things. And it's like, I think I randomly just hit you up and was like, man, I'm struggling, man. What can I do to get out of this slump? And you gave me some sound advice. So yeah, being around positive people and having a support system is key. I would say another thing is to find somewhere or find something that you can get into a creative space. Sometimes just drawing it out or writing it out. I use the cloud system. And that's an old system. How in school, how you used to write them clouds on your paper and then write words on the inside. I've used that as a technique. Just word association. Different things to kind of just open my mind back up to be creative and move into another space. Another thing I did was I really, really thought about why am I doing this? What's my motivation to move forward? And I thought about helping others, number one. Two, I'm thinking about the future of my family, what I want to be able to do. And the other one is, man, I want to be free. Just to be honest, at the end of the day, I want to be able to be free and to be able to provide certain things that I wouldn't be able to working a 9 to 5. Don't get me wrong. You watching? I'm working a 9 to 5. I have no thought process of quitting at this moment or anytime soon, but I'm laying the foundation to be able to be independent and be free to do the things that I need to do for the future. So finding your ambition, finding what motivates you to want to do the things that you're doing or the things that are blocking you from taking that next step, identifying those things and acting on the next step is another key for moving in that next direction. And just to piggyback off of what you said, bro, give it to God, man. We have a prayer box that's on our table and writing different wants and aspirations in prayer and putting it in that box is key for me. It's faith takes you a long way, and
Amen.
If you act on your faith and keep it, we've seen that it manifests itself in a different light. You know, doors that are open for you may not be open for anybody else. Things that are for you, and if they're not for you, then they're not. You know, and I've heard you say this before, and I believe it 100%. You know, asking God for guidance and asking for understanding. You know, guiding your path. Those things are key. Like he's not gonna short you. You know, if you can take one thing to the bank, that's him. You take him to the bank. You know, if I need to make a withdrawal, you know, it might not be the withdrawal on the time that I want to make it, but it's the deposit is in there. You know what I'm saying? Like just to open it up a little bit, you know. I'm gonna deposit in there. Now that withdrawal might take a little time, but it's there.
Yeah, it's there. And God, like I say, man, it's just, why not trust in him when he said that he'll never leave you nor forsake you? You know, he said, cast all whatever you're dealing with onto him, you know. And so when I heard a preacher say this one time, he was like, why are you, when you going to the cross and you praying, when you supposed to lay off all your problems and troubles, you know, lay them down. And then when you get up, you walk away and it shouldn't be nothing in your hand. But a lot of us are going and praying and picking up the same worries and doubts and taking it back with us. And you ain't supposed to do that. You're supposed to leave it at the cross and keep on walking, you know. So like I say, why not trust God when he say that he got you, you know? So you better believe in him.
Yes, sir. That's it. Well, hopefully these keys, these tools that we gave you today will help you guys out. Bryce, thank you, brother, for gracing us again with your presence. Thank you. We appreciate it. I appreciated you taking the time out to come on. No problem, bro. Man, for those that are watching, let them know where they can find you at.
Man, I'm on social media. I have Facebook. The Facebook is Bryce Slaughter. I have Instagram. My Instagram is Slaughter Cuts. That's SLAUGHTERCUTZ. It's all one word. And you can find me on www.slaughtercuts.com. You can book a haircut if you need a haircut. You can buy clippers. You can buy hair products. You know, you name it. Just reach out to me if you need anything. And man, I thank you, Daryl, for, you know, inviting me on your podcast, man. I'm proud of you, bro. You keep up the good work and keep on pushing, bro. Everything gonna fall in order.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, man. Even in the chat getting a cut, man, it's some inspiration going on in there. Them conversations are dope. If y'all could be in the room and in the building when that's in there, man, a 30-minute cut turning an hour and 45 minutes just off the conversation alone. So it's some gems that's normally dropped in there. So I appreciate you for, you know, pouring into me when I'm in the building, man. And even outside of the building, I just appreciate your friendship, man. And I really, really, really appreciate you. So with that being said, please hit the like and subscribe button. Helps the channel out more than you think. Trying to build the brand, trying to get more ambitioners to, you know, rock with me. So follow us on YouTube. Follow us at FoldY Ambition on Instagram. And look for the podcast version of this show on all major podcasting sites. The TikTok is coming soon, and the Twitter is coming soon. So just be on the lookout for more content, more audio versions of the show, more. I'm going to get into the TikTok space. Yeah, I'm going to get into it. So just believe that it's coming. And with that being said, y'all, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you took some notes, took some keys. These will definitely help you. I can 100% say that these keys will help you. And with that being said, it's my boy, brother Bryce, and it's your boy D, and we out.